God, cute boys. We caught
I'm
it.
like, tell me your first drama was not Boys Over Flowers. Did you cut?
No, I'm just saying
Oh,
I'm gonna cut it at this point.
okay, yeah,
Unnecessary.
just keep moving, keep moving.
Unnecessary.
And welcome everybody to the Least podcast. I'm
Hey,
I'm your host Tommy,
and I'm your girl Simi.
and today we'll be talking about Parasite, the movie Parasite,
Mm-hmm.
which I know a lot of people have watched. A lot of people had mixed feelings about. Some people liked some people didn't like some people. There were some notes, some undertones, which we will be discussing today. And yeah, let's get straight into it.
Sweet. So, we are going to talk first about the synopsis of the story Parasite. So, it shows a class system, between the rich and the poor in the movie, sorry. And it shows it two very distinct families, and the poor family worm their way into the rich family's house by working for them. But
Mm,
obviously, the rich family, did not know that they were family. And then it comes with a surprise about what's underneath the basement. So so this drama just shows the two very different lifestyles, two very different thinking, and it's now wrapped with suspense and thriller
mm.
and some really dark humor and dark comedy because it is a funny film. So that's just a brief synopsis. Yeah. So Tommy, do you want to talk about what we like and what we didn't like?
Mm, I mean, yeah, we can get straight into it. What I can say I liked about it was that it wasn't as predictable as I thought it was going to be.
Mm.
Yeah, I did not expect the end. I did not see that coming. But
I don't think anyone saw that coming,
that
honestly.
it was nice. I liked the ending. I actually quite liked the ending. There was a specific scene that I quite liked. But
Ooh.
as we continue our conversation, I mean, like I said, there's always going to be spoiler alerts. So yeah, there's going to be spoilers. Um, so yeah, from what I could say, I liked it quite a bit because it wasn't as predictable as a lot of movies can be.
Mm.
But then I guess that's because of the thriller vibe. So I mean, I see why it won award, like won an
Yes,
award
it
and
won
stuff. Because
quite a lot of awards. Like
yeah,
even, it's the first Korean film that won a lot of um foreign awards, from the Academy Award to the Palme d'Or
which is kind of
Academy
sad if you
Award.
think about it, because Korean has a lot of really good TV, and then there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like there's a lot of movies that are just as deserving of these awards as
Like
this
Train
movie
to
Parasite.
Busan. Now
That that is a classic. That is a classic.
that was a movie. I was, I don't like zombie films, but I sat through that and I was like, oh my god. Like anyway.
But yeah, so like I mean, well done to the cast, well done to the producer, well done to the directors.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography of this whole movie was really, it was good. Like the way they captured the scenes, the transition from one scene to the next. There was specifically once the transition that I liked was when they were literally having a shitstorm, like the rain was like
Oh, that scene.
pouring, and they
That
kept
scene made me
transitioning from one to
sad.
the other. Like it was, that was mind blowing. I have to say, like, nah, they outdid themselves.
No, that
They
scene
outdid
made me
themselves with that.
sad. Like literally when she sat on the toilet and
She just
Pooh
given
was
up on life. At that point, she was like, "Yeah, I give up." You could just tell like the fight had gone out of her. Um, but yeah, basically, she was just like, This is it at this point. Like, I don't care anymore." Um,
exactly. Now that scene made me think. I feel like this movie is a type of movie that after you finish watching it, it makes you think. Like it makes you. This is the second time I'm watching it again. I watched it when it first came out, and
Mm,
then I watched it for the purpose of just refreshing myself for the podcast, and
mm,
it still made me, even though I'd seen it, like I was still taken by surprise. And
mm.
secondly, I noticed other things I didn't notice the first time I saw it.
Yeah, but that's always the case when you watch something like multiple times. You tend to notice things that you didn't notice the first time. I
But I
mean, I
feel
know
like
it
this.
did for myself as well, though. But I mean, because it was kind of a movie that had so many different like aspects to it and so many different messages. Like, I don't think you could capture it all in one sitting anyway. Like,
No,
I feel like
yeah,
it's the kind of movie you have to literally watch once, find some stuff out, then watch again, then you catch some things, and it's just, yeah, I would say it was a really interesting movie. What I
it
didn't
was.
like is,
Okay,
since
yeah.
we're talking about what we like and dislike, what I didn't like was the length. I didn't think it needed to be 2 hours long.
2 hours? No, I find that the length was perfect. To be
No,
honest, I didn't even realize 2 hours went by.
no, I felt it.
You felt it.
Yep, I felt it. See, honestly, this is why I'm telling you that although this is such a great movie, there's so many other like movies that are just as deserving of like the accolades that this movie got. I like not I'm not trying to take away from the fact that this movie was just so good. Like it was honestly like it had my attention and
Yeah,
everything. Like I had lots to like talk about, a lot to say, a lot to think about when I was watching this movie. But
yeah.
at the same time, I just feel like it didn't need to be 2 hours long. Like
No, but I
the
don't feel
first
like you
half
can
of it,
capture the entire message that they were trying to portray in less than 2 hours. Like, I'm sorry,
you
I
could,
disagree
you
with you on
could,
that.
100%, 100%, you
No,
could.
they would have to cut some important scenes, and
Like
then you just
what? Okay, okay. These are the parts where I feel like they were dragging. Fair
okay.
enough. Like in the beginning, like it's like the first half, the first 1 hour of the movie could have been a little, just a tad bit, like 30 minutes shorter. Because
But this is
basically, they were trying to show that okay, well, this family was kind of mooching up this family and how they kind of technically got into like into the rich people's family. And I'm kind of like in the family, I think is the key family, or is it the moon? I don't know. Anyway, so it was showing how the poor was going into the rich, and I just feel
mm,
like those scenes could have been just a tad bit shorter. Like they didn't it didn't need to be that long. Like I think for me the second half of the movie was the best part of the movie for me, like
I feel like
genuinely.
the first half of the movie set the scene. It
Yeah,
set
yeah,
the
yeah. It
scene
did. It
of
set the
what
tone.
was
It
going
set
to
the tone.
happen.
Yeah, it did set the tone. It set the tone. It's little subtle things that kept happening that set the tone. But I just feel like it's a personal feeling.
It's
But
a personal feeling.
I just feel like it didn't. It
I
could have
don't
been
share that
1 hour,
personal
30 minutes, and still have been great. I just didn't think it needed to be 2 hours. But
No,
then,
2 hours is the
I mean,
perfect length.
I sat through a 2 hour movie on the Avengers, so I guess I could pretty much make time for 2 hours for Parasite.
Exactly.
Um,
And
like
Avengers. Sorry, like I
we're not
love
gonna go. We're not
Avengers.
even gonna go into Avengers because that was that last movie was a disappointment. But we're not gonna
You
go there.
you think
We're
so?
gonna stick on to our topic. But my point is, I just that's the only thing I didn't like. If you wanted my opinion and I'm giving it to you, I just didn't think it needed to be 2 hours long. But
Well,
hey,
if you can sit through Avengers and it wasn't really that,
don't I will have no Marvel slander. Okay, I will have no
I love
Marvel
Marvel. I
slander
love
on
Marvel.
this
I love
podcast.
Marvel. I
Okay,
love Marvel.
thank
DC not
you,
so much, but I
management.
love Marvel. I
Thanks,
love Marvel. So I'm
management.
just kind of
Moving
saying
on.
that this one kind of deserved the two
Moving.
hours.
I'm not hearing it. I'm actually Simi. I'm not hearing it. I don't even want to know. Like I don't.
Okay, okay, okay.
No. Thank
Okay,
you.
let's move on. Let's move on. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'm teasing you. I'm
Like
sorry.
no,
I'm still
no.
laughing.
It's cool.
Okay, I need to calculate
But
myself.
anyway, I've said what I liked, what I disliked. But yeah, you can take the floor.
Okay, so what I liked was the subtle hints. That there were some subtle hints that were portrayed in the film, and I feel like because I'm watching it a second time,
Mm,
I kind of picked up on these subtle hints. For example, like when what's the rich man's name? Guys, I'll let you know I am terrible with names. Okay, like terrible. So the rich guy, he 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 hates the smell of poor people essentially, and that was a subtle hint. He says like, the father, who becomes the driver of this rich man. So the poor
mm-hmm,
guy, the poor father becomes the
mm-hmm,
driver of this rich man, and he the rich man says he doesn't like the smell of the poor man,
Mm,
right? And then I was just starting to think, smell, like, do people smell? But apparently, when you live, obviously they live in a basement compared to
yeah,
that open spaced house.
definitely
They live
basement.
in a basement. There's gonna be a certain stench that will follow them.
Mm,
And do you know what, I could relate to it in some way, because I remembered this thing happened to me in high school, and it was so mean.
mm.
And you know one of this girls said to me, she was just nasty to me, right? She just didn't like me, and she said to me, you smell like an African house.
Does she even know what an African house smells like?
So I went home crying that day to
That's so
my mom.
horrible. I would. That's what?
Yeah, I went home crying that day to my mom, and I said to my mom, do I smell like an African house? Like,
Like,
when
first of all, that's not even. Why are they? Why did she say it like that was an insult? What's wrong with the smell of an African house? And Africa is a whole continent. So oh, there's so many issues with that statement in and of itself. First of all, that wasn't an insult, because what's wrong with smelling from where you're from? There's nothing wrong with that. Number one, that's not. Number two, Africa is not a country; it's a continent. So
mm,
that already showed her own like ignorance. Player clean and simple. So it's kind of like, where what did she aim by saying, like, what was her aim in saying that, like, that was,
just
anyway.
to be a bit of a Karen, I guess.
Karens. Anyway, like, it's comments like that. Like, I'm just like, you think you live in a world, like, in a well educated world, but then people seem to disagree.
Exactly.
So I have to always remind myself that my TL isn't reality. Like, my timeline is not
Exactly.
reality, because everybody seems to be walk on my timeline, but nobody seems to be walk outside. So yeah, I always just need to remind myself that, because at the end of the day, you surround your social media is basically curated by you. Like, so you won't
Mm,
see things that aren't, especially with those logarithm stuff and all the way social media is set up now. You probably won't see things that, like, aren't things that you're already interested in. So
exactly.
I always have to remind myself that that doesn't mean that people are not mad outside. Like, they are actually mad. No, it's true, there are
No,
mad people outside. People are actually mad.
social
Like,
media
there are
is a
people that
complete
are mad.
different picture to
Exactly.
what
So yeah.
we see every day.
Mm.
Yeah, but when she said that comment to me, I was really upset. Like, I told my mom that she should stop drying my clothes in the kitchen. Like, literally, that was the last
No.
time my mom dried my clothes in the kitchen. I
I
always
shouldn't
made
even
sure
have
my
had to do that, but anyway.
Yeah, so ever since then, I always had this particular aspect about scent. So I became very not obsessive, but a bit obsessive about how I smell.
Mm.
I'm always looking for like the nicest perfume. I make sure like I spritz myself 10 times before I go somewhere. Like, obviously, as you grow up, you find out it's a reflection of themselves and not you
Yeah.
as a person.
Yeah.
So, but it did hurt my feelings. So I could understand why it would hurt that poor man, because
Mm.
it's not his fault that he smells the way he smells. And
Mm.
the wife said, because when he was complaining to his wife, the wife said, "Oh, is it an old people type of smell?" Because when you grow older, if you've noticed, older people have a scent,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
and I feel like and newborn babies they have a scent.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
just
newborn babies
rain
smell
has
so
a scent.
nice.
Hmm?
I said newborn babies smell so nice.
I know they smell
They
like
always smell
powder.
so cute. I don't know. Yeah,
Like
maybe
you
it's
go
baby
up to a
powder.
baby
I
and
don't know what
you
it
feel
is.
I'm like,
They always just smell nice. But
eh?
anyway, sorry.
What did you say?
I said I don't know. Maybe it's just the newborn. Like, and I don't know. I don't know what it. Maybe it's the baby powder. I don't know. But
Yeah, but it
babies always
smells
just
so
smell
nice.
cute. But yeah, they smell nice. Anyway, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Babies do have a scent. Old people probably do have a scent.
Yeah, I feel like they do have a scent. If you have a very in tune nose, you kind of will be able to smell it, because
Mm.
his wife said, the rich woman, she said, "Oh, is it the old people smell?"
Yeah.
Yuna goes, "Oh, it's the kind of smell you get in the subway."
Oh
I
dear.
don't know. Maybe you guys can check it out. Like when you're on, like on the tram, see if you can smell something different.
Oh dear.
Sorry, I don't know, because I feel like it was a symbolism to what the director was trying to say, that they're rich people, because they don't go through the whole public transport system, so maybe they're their noses in tuned in a different way.
Mm,
But I was able to pick up on that. And
mm,
another thing I was able to pick up that I liked was, the fact that, you know, even though they went about the wrong way to get
mm,
into the like high society,
mm-hmm.
you know, these people are intelligent, but they just didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's literally what happens around the world. There are a lot of intelligent people out there, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not presented the opportunity to shine. And I feel like he portrays that very well because the sister was able to forge a Korean university diploma.
No, I don't
And
even
there
think
was
it was Korean
one
one.
scene the dad said that if Oxford had a major in document forgery, Ki Jung will be the top of her class. I laughed at that scene because she's obviously clearly brilliant.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I liked about it because I feel like it just portrayed some of the comments that people say to people that digs at us, and also it portrays the lack of opportunities people in unfortunate circumstances don't get.
Mm, mm.
So yeah, that's literally what I liked about it, and I feel like if you guys watch this film or you've seen it, go watch it again and see if you can pick up on that as well. And if you totally disagree with me, then let us know.
Okay. Okay. But then what didn't you like about it? Because you said all the
What
things
didn't
that you liked about it, but you haven't said anything about what you didn't like about it.
what I didn't like. What I didn't like is, to be honest, I'll be honest. There wasn't much I didn't like about the film.
Mm,
It was
you seem like yeah, you seem like this was just your love, like you loved it. Mm.
yeah, I loved it. I loved it. But I have to pick something I didn't like. Let me see. It's a very difficult question. What I didn't like, I would say it was too short.
Too
I'm just like,
no,
I'm just
I
trying
was
to provoke you now.
yeah, because I was like I wasn't gonna sit through another 20
One
minutes.
hour, imagine.
To be honest, I lie, but I probably would. It's just I would complain about it, but I probably would sit it through, and watch it. But yeah, there was a lot of things that I mean. Speaking of what I didn't like, I think we should go into the characters and talk about what we liked about some characters, the things that we noticed and stuff, because there's a lot to say there. What did you think of the friend before we go into the main characters of the show?
You mean the
The
person that
boy's
played
friend.
you mean Key takes friend
Yeah,
that was played by Park Seo Joon.
yeah.
Guys, I love Park so much.
Hmm. That's what I was like. Hmm.
Well, to be honest, it was a very short scene. I didn't. First of all, he really degraded his friend because he didn't introduce people that actually went to college to this rich family because he liked the young girl, which I thought was. Do you know what? Actually, that's what I didn't like,
Hmm.
the relationship dynamic with this girl in high school and guys in university. Guys, yeah, it's a bit.
We'll talk about that, but okay. Can I
I
just say
know.
what I didn't like about the friend?
What didn't you like?
He chose his poor friend on purpose.
That's what I meant. He chose his. That's literally what I'm saying. He
Okay,
literally did not trust the guys that he was friends with,
that's
right?
Kiwu,
Because he
right? So
said,
he chose Kiwu on purpose. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
yeah, he did. He chose him on purpose, and he said, "Oh, I can't, they will probably be slobbering all over her, but I can trust you." How insulting is that?
That's the part that's insulting. That's not even the part that made me annoyed. That's not what made me
What's the part you
angry.
thought was annoying?
Um, it was the fact that he said it to his friend because he knew his friend wasn't gonna judge him with his blatant like grooming of the little 15-year-old girl.
Oh, I missed
That's
that.
that's what made me feel sick to the bone. But then what did I expect? Because at the end of the day, Kiwu ended up doing the exact same thing. They're both sick. They're both sick. Like sick. It made me sick. I was like, what is this? What is this I'm watching? No, because his friend came to him. He was like, well, I mean
Marry her
to
when
marry
no,
her. No, I mean to
not
ask her
marry,
out
date
properly.
her. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean to ask her out properly when she goes to uni.
I was
Like,
just like,
bearing in mind,
"Ew."
this guy was like 15. And then he's like, "Well, I mean to ask her out when she's like when she's in uni or whatever." Um, and then
I,
his friend was just like, "Yeah, yeah," like, and he took it up on like in stride, and they were just laughing about it, like like you just like it's just we're talking about bread, and I'm like, wait, what?
hold on, hold on, because when I, when he said that to his friend, I was just kind of like, that's a bit weak.
Yeah, because when
But then
Kimu
I
asked him about
didn't
that, there's more
realize
to this, right? Sorry.
I just said I didn't actually realize that point because
Yeah, like
honestly, I
when.
actually thought it was disgusting with with the high school girl and then being in uni. But
Mhm.
I didn't realize the fact that he didn't even judge him.
Yeah, he didn't judge him. Kiwu didn't judge him because they were
Scandalous.
both sick, and he knew that Kiwu wasn't gonna judge him. So this to me just showed like there was a lot of like it wasn't just about like the what's the word the statutory rape that was going on. It was also the grooming that was killing me. The grooming, like I'm just kind of like, how can you groom a 15-year-old to the point where you're kind of telling her now that, oh, you're gonna ask her out when you mean to make an honest man out of yourself and ask her out properly when you get to uni, blah blah blah, when she gets to uni. Like,
Oh
if
my
that's not grooming, I don't know
god!
what is. And that was what was making me
I
feel
can't
sick.
believe I missed that point. I'm
Like,
kicking
that was
myself.
I thought that was disgusting. I was like, you two make me
No,
sick.
I didn't like that bit
Yeah,
at all.
he acted like he was doing his friend a favor, but then at the end of the day,
Yes.
he just wanted his friend to he needed someone to co-sign his rubbish. Like, that was what it was. And he
Mm,
knew that Kiwu was desperate to make money. He knew Kiwu wasn't gonna say no to free cash. And that's why he went to Kiwu. That's the only reason why.
that's true. Because if not, he wouldn't have.
Exactly.
And then he brought the stupid stone.
I don't know what the exactly. See, this is why I knew that from jump you didn't really care about these people, because if you cared about them, you would give them something of value, something that they could turn into something, like turn into money. You could help them in so many other ways.
But
Like,
I
what was that piece of rock going to do for them? And the mother said it. Kiwu's mom said it. She was like, like, if you really
they
wanted to
should
help
have
them,
bought
you
food
would
instead.
It's true. It's true. If I'm going to my friend's house, I know that maybe they don't have food at home. I'm gonna buy food. I'm gonna buy food. Or I'm gonna be like, let's go shopping, and I'm gonna pay for it, because I'm the kind of person that I can't watch my friend be struggling, and then I say I'm claiming to help them, and then I'm giving them something they can't use. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I was kind of like, he was saying it like he was doing them a favor, but actually, you all you did was just flaunt like your the way you want to look like you're superior to them, because that's
That's
basically
true.
all he came looking like the savior, like, oh, like, stop, because when the drunk guy was outside of their little semi basement and they were just
Mm,
watching the drunk guy do whatever, he was the one that
mm,
came over and said, no, you can't urinate there, blah blah blah. And
mm.
he just came with such a like a savior vibe. At first, when I first saw him, I said, oh, this guy is looking like he's going to be
Nice. Yeah,
like a
it's
nice
all nice.
person, not knowing that he's the trash of all trash. But anyway,
So when you
that's
come round to mine, yeah, you're bringing food, yeah.
sorry.
I said when you come round mine, you're
If
bringing
you
food,
don't
yeah.
have food, if you don't have food at home, I'll bring food for you.
I have plenty food, but you're bringing food, yeah.
No, I'm not bringing food. Leave me alone. There's no food coming your way. Sorry.
Oh, come on, Tommy, man.
No, I don't understand. What is this exactly? Please, please, please. Moving
So
on.
I researched because I was thinking about why bring a stone. So I researched into that really, and
Mm,
I looked into it, and apparently in Korea,
mhm,
a viewing stone, it's called a viewing stone or a scholar stone, which means that it symbolizes life of prosperity.
mm,
So it symbolizes the life of prosperity they want to
mm,
have, and a future that seems to be out of their grasp given the current economic climate. So, it was supposed to be the hope for the family that the future is bright. So I think that was his intention,
mm,
but obviously it didn't come to fruition. So, yeah, that was it was literally that was the symbolism that the director was trying to portray with that viewing style. So I think it's a cultural thing in Korea that people tend to give people, not with the younger generation, but the older generation,
I mean, he
like
did say he got it from his grandpa, so
grandfather. Yeah,
so
yeah,
that,
yeah,
I mean, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
yeah.
I mean, if there's some cultural connotations to it, then I can understand. I mean, they did say about the fact that it's a symbol of prosperity and all that stuff. So I mean, in that sense, I do get it, but I'm just kind of like you could also have put an envelope there with money inside too. So
That's
just saying.
true. That's true. Do you know another thing I researched into?
Mm,
It's why the little kid was obsessed with the Indian, the Indian tribal kind of things,
mm.
and why the director placed that in the film. So I researched into that, and it says
Oh,
that
see me coming back with the facts. All right, sis. Sorry, sorry, I didn't know this is what we were gonna be on, but okay.
no,
All
no,
right.
no, no, no.
See
No,
me
it's just
coming
because
with all the facts. You said I'm bringing
I
all
told
the
you I
facts.
went down because I wanted to know, right? Because I wanted to know. So I went down a rabbit hole, guys. I went down a rabbit hole, and
All
this is how
right.
I found out all this stuff. So there
Okay.
was an article that was written by Shea Vasser on Medium. I don't know if you guys use that app. So she spoke about how the movie Parasite confronts native stereotypes, and there was one bit that really got me in her article. She says the misuse of native culture is continually brought back to the screen as the plot becomes more tense, highlighting the embarrassing appropriation, right?
Mm,
And then she goes on further to say, I think towards the end of her um towards the end of her article, she says, let me just read it out to you if I can remember what she said. Oh yeah, it shows the sad reality of how underrepresented cultures are just trendy for
mm,
some, on
facts.
on some, like literally on some fast fashion display in the window.
Facts.
So, because when I was thinking about it, like, why did he
Totally
choose
facts.
Native American that this, child is obsessed with? And,
Mm.
from what I read from her
Even the mother as
article,
well saying, "Oh, I ordered this arrow that was used," and then anyway, yeah, there's also something there as well that I wanted to discuss. But anyway, continue.
go on,
Um, when she kept going back. The mum, which was Yon Kyo.
Young Kill.
Yeah, so she kept going back to which was the wife of the rich man,
Mm,
and the stay-at-home mom, and she kept going back to, if she was referring to something, she'd say, "Oh, well, we bought it from America. We bought it from America.
mm,
Like,
mm,
America is like the land of milk and honey. Like America is this land. Not to say America is not a good place. Don't get me wrong, but like she was saying it like America is like everything is gold standard." I
mm.
felt like I was like, that's a little bit problematic, don't you think? Like it's a bit, that's a bit suspect,
But then
but
the thing is that it's a lot of people think that
it's
if
and
it
that's
doesn't
what I'm
come
saying.
from,
It's so wrong. Like you can get something that can be from your own community, and it could be better quality than what you get. Like I don't know, she
mm,
made it seem like you cannot buy anything that's bad quality from America, which I was kind of
that
like,
is true.
what is this woman on about? Like it just made it seem like if you buy some, like if you buy things overseas, then it must be good. Like she had that weird mentality of like, if you buy things from abroad, like it's must
Mm.
be gold standard, it must be the best thing. Like
And
you
you know
can't,
what? It's not
like if you
just
buy something locally, it's not going to be as good quality, which obviously is very, very wrong, very wrong. So I was kind of like, why does she keep thinking that, like, but then it also just highlighted her naivety, like how
yes.
naive she was, like even with the way she allowed the is it the Moon family?
The Moon family, yeah, the
Yeah,
the Moon family are the poor family,
yeah,
and the Key family are the rich family.
yeah. So the way she allowed the Moon family to kind of slowly
Infiltrate.
slowly infiltrate into her household, it just showed how naive she was.
But they're pure geniuses. I can't.
No, no, that was, to be honest, I can't lie. Yeah, that was gold star. Like, as the no, no, no. You know where you have to give people their props. Nah, they did what
Yes,
they had to do in that moment, man,
they
boy.
to
But I think
survive.
the mistake they made was when they tried to change the
Help.
house help, yeah, the
Oh, that
lady
woman fought.
Moon and Moon
Do you
Guan.
know what? There was a
Moon,
connotation with that. It shows that poor people go against poor people because if those two families, if the Moon family and the house help, the house help, what was her name? I can't
Moon
remember.
Guan.
Yeah, Moon Guan. If they had worked together, they could have literally overtaken the Key family and both lived happily in that um big house.
I think it was
But
more based on the fact that they didn't just have trust for each other.
yeah, so basically, lower classes are willing to kill one another over
Not
the
just lower
limited
classes, human
space
beings in general,
serving the
though.
top.
I don't think. I think you should. We need to be careful where we say when we say lower classes, because we're like in different places. Lower class means different things. You know, like
That's true.
this disparity is it can be so different in where depending on the location. So I don't.
Mm,
Yes, I don't even think it's just about lower class. I think it's more about human beings in general. I think human beings in general are the kind of people that a lot of people would rather pull others down than just both
instead of,
succeed.
you know,
So
um,
it's like I don't know if this is a saying or whatever. Like it's easy like when someone is drowning, it's easier for them to pull you down for than for you to save them.
mm,
And I think that's just what it is. I think it's kind of one of those things because they were drowning and she was drowning, so it was easier for her to drown them too than for them
right, that's
than
to
for them
try
to
and
save each
work it
other.
out.
Yeah. And I think that's just
That's
what it
true.
is. And I
But I
think
want
that
to go.
goes across the board. I don't think that's just lower class though. I think that's just across the board. Even if
That's just
people are rich.
human beings.
Yeah.
It's just what I read in one of the thing that struck me.
Mm.
It's not my phrasing. Like it's not. I didn't write that, but it's
Oh,
something
okay.
I read, and I was just kind of like, oh, this would be a good point to bring up because that's
Mm.
what they wrote in the article. I was like, oh, that's
Mm.
interesting point of
Mm.
view. So that's what I wrote down. So guys, I'm sorry if I offend you. It
Mm.
wasn't it wasn't
I don't think
intentional.
anybody's offended unless they think I don't think anyone's offended, but yeah.
Okay, that's cool. But I wanted to go back to the point of the mother that you made.
Mm.
If about the whole America being gold standard for her.
Yeah.
And another thing is recommendation. It's like word of mouth. She said it in one of the scenes that recommendation is gold, basically. Like if you get a recommend, that's how they were able to infiltrate because the Ki Woo,
Mhm.
recommended his sister,
Mhm.
who was also known as Jessica. Ki
Mhm.
Woo recommended his sister as this art therapist. Then she recommended. Then she got driver fired. Then she recommended, you know, um, her dad
Mhm.
as the
The
driver,
driver.
and
Yeah.
then they got rid of the household. So when she said that recommendations is like gold, it kind
Yeah.
of also shows that they're not willing to do their own research about
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
you know they just took the word of mouth, and yeah. So I
Yeah.
feel like we need to also be careful as a society of word of mouth because sometimes with that they do say word of mouth is the most powerful marketing technique out there,
Yeah.
like it is, and it shows in this film. It
See,
really
and
shows.
it's good that you also talk about this because I also wanted to talk about the fact that it just highlights to me how sometimes the smartest people can also be the most stupid. No, it's true. It's true. I'm not trying to be like insulting, but it's the truth. Like sometimes when you hold yourself in such high regard that sometimes you can't see your own mistakes and you can't see your own um like you can't see your own faults. So
mm,
and that goes with the rich woman's husband. He I think out of everyone was my least favorite character. He was just I couldn't stand him.
what was his name? Moon. What's his name? Moon. Oh, I forgot. Oh no, he's Key. He's a Key.
Yeah, so Key who?
No,
No.
no, no, no. He's a Moon. Sorry.
I was
I
like,
forgot.
no, he's definitely the moon family.
Ah,
But
sorry,
anyway,
guys.
we all know who we're talking about. So the
Yeah.
rich guy, I think out of everyone, because he kept saying something, he was like, "Oh, he as long as people don't cross the line,
Line. Yes.
yeah, as long as they don't cross the line." I'm like, "What line? Like, is this some invisible line that you set for yourself? Like, what?" what constitutes like crossing of the line? Like, is it if somebody just goes against something that you don't deem as comfortable, or like I struggle to understand like what he meant by if people mustn't cross the lines, like because even you could see accents of his wife being scared to cross the line. You could
Mm.
see accents of his wife being scared to cross the line, because like even when she had to fire the and when they fired the driver, he blamed her.
Mm.
Then when they had to get a new housemaid, she was kind of like nervous to like she was like, oh, please keep it a secret. I mustn't let him know. Like she knew that if she did made another mistake, then he'd basically deem that as crossing the line. So it made me feel like he had some weird complex that like everything must be perfect in his world. Which if you
That's
notice
true.
the house that they chose as well, and the way it was very like there's no there's no clutter. The kids couldn't find like the kids' toys just laying around or anything. Everything had to
Mm.
be prim and proper. So it was just I found it really weird. Like and even but the thing is, as much as he had these very strict boundary lines, like remember the scene in the living room when he was kind of making out with his wife and stuff. He was like,
Oh, that
oh,
was a weird scene, and they
like
were
when
talking
he was
about
doing that, he said something. He was like, "Oh, go and get those panties," and I was
panties.
kind of like, "This is disgusting." I looked at him like, "What kind of animal is this?" Like, but then at the end of the day, it's kind of like I was confused because I was like, "You're the kind of person that says they shouldn't cross lines. Like, why would you cross? You've just crossed the line. If that
Exactly.
makes sense."
And then when he said to his wife that, no, you asked him for drugs. So obviously they must have had a past that they were able to overcome, well, maybe he was able to build himself up, or they as a family were able to build themselves up. That, because she was saying that, oh, give me drugs, give me drugs, give me drugs, and like, it was just a weird scene. I was just kind of like, and the family was what, like downstairs, like underneath the table, and they're hearing this. I was like, ooh, that's nasty.
Yeah, I was kind of like, yeah, no. Hmm. See, this drama, sorry, it's drama. This movie was just, it had a lot of accents that I quite liked. Can I just talk about the scene where it was flooding? Like, I just really want to go back to that scene again because
Mm,
that,
mm.
there was a lot going on there.
In
Um,
that scene,
who,
it's like they were descending into chaos. As you can, if you see all the cable ties, I don't know if
mm,
you noticed that part. Like, as they were coming from the rich neighborhood, you could just see that it just got messier and messier and
yeah,
messier, and then
yeah, yeah.
was descending into chaos. Oh no, I felt for that family. I felt for that family.
That was not it. Like, first of all, can I ask you a question? Who did you think was the parasite?
To be honest, I think both were.
That's an interesting take.
They were both parasites. The rich needed the poor family, the Moon family, sorry, the Key
Mm-hmm,
family needed
mm-hmm,
the Moon family
mm-hmm.
to do their dirty work, really, right?
Yep.
And the Key family needed the Moon family for their wages and being in this house that, served their dreams. So for me, they were both being parasites to each other.
Okay. Yeah. I
What
mean,
about yourself?
um, I don't know. Like, to be honest, I wasn't quite sure who I would have said was the parasite out of the two. But yeah, I get what you mean by you felt like one was more of a parasite than the other.
I feel like,
Sorry.
in
Sorry.
biology they have those like symbiotic relationships.
Mm.
That's how it works
So, but then
in
why
this
do you
case.
think they called it parasite then? Because one needs to like the sense of like if something is parasitic, one is eating off the other. So they couldn't both be eating off each other. One needed to be the
That's why
parasite.
the ending happened. If you think about it that way, that's why the ending happened, because they were both taking from each other, right?
Yeah.
But one had to finally go, and that's when Key take them, the Key dad, he snapped, and I'm not surprised he snapped.
No, I'm sorry. When he saw the guy do this, then raise his nose at the other guy, I was kind of like, oof.
Yeah.
No, I think that was when he was like, "I'm sick of you. I'm actually sick of you."
But eventually they both snapped. Well, not the other guy. The other guy snapped.
And what? Let's talk about the man in the basement, please.
He was creepy. Oh my god.
Let's talk
When
about the
he
man in the
came
basement,
out,
please.
eh?
If you think about it, why was he like? I mean, we understand why he was hidden for so long, but then at the
For four
same
years in the
the,
basement.
the woman was explaining why there was a basement in the first place, and she said something. She said the previous owner was embarrassed about it. Why were they embarrassed about them having like a semi basement, like a cellar, like an actual basement? Why is that something to be ashamed of? Did you
I
think
feel
about
like I didn't think about that actually. That's a good point because
like
if
I would be curious to know like why was that
the
something to be
conversation.
ashamed of?
Hmm.
Because from her explanation, um, she said, "Oh, they used to use it if they were, for example, like if they were running away from like loan sharks, or if they
Hmm.
had like was it earthquakes or something to do with weather, like if they had really bad is it flooding or I can't
Flooding,
remember.
I'm guessing.
I can't. Sorry.
I'm guessing it's flooding.
I think I'm not sure what it was, but she said there was also like a practical functionality, like that basement had a practical functionality. So I was kind of
Mm.
like, it's kind of like a self-contained, and I was like, why is that something to be ashamed of? Like I don't understand why that's
I
something to be ashamed of. Ashamed of.
I believe it kind of feeds into the imagery of the upstairs downstairs um downstairs image, of what they were trying to portray in the film.
Mm.
Maybe people's mentalities of basements is like, you know, why would you need one? You have all this. Why would you need a basement?
Yeah,
Like,
why would you need to hide? Why would you
why
need
would
to?
you need to
It,
hide?
it also felt like a dirty little secret, like, and like
Exactly.
everyone has like which also reminds me of that little girl's diary. Like everybody always has like a little dirty secret, which reminds me as well. Did you notice like when the lady was interviewing Ki Woo, she was like, "Oh, he was very good to us. So we just want to make sure that that you'll be just as good." Is it just me that noticed that there must have been she must have had like something meant something more than that?
I don't know. I feel like the mother was clueless. I won't lie.
Nah, I don't think so.
I feel like she was clueless about what was going on in her children's life.
But she acted like she wasn't, or she acted like she was the most involved person, but she's actually.
And yeah, I feel like she was clueless. Like
Mm,
you said, she's naive.
mm.
So I feel
To
like
be honest, she was very naive.
she was. So I wouldn't think she would have picked up on any subtle hints
Oh,
at all.
and one more thing as well.
Mm,
One more thing as well. Um, the the Moon family.
mm.
Sorry, is it the I always mix them up. The Moon family are the rich ones, right?
Yes, I
So
believe
the
so.
so the Key family. Sorry, the father from the Key family.
Yes.
Um, I there was something he said that I was just kind of like, is this the reason that led you to what you did in the end? Because he said he was like, oh, with life you shouldn't make plans, because when you make plans and then they don't go along to according to the way you want, like it just all leads to disappointment. So you might as well just live your life and not just make plans. Sometimes the best plan is no plan at all. That's what he said.
I
And I
really
was kind of
disagree with
like,
that.
I kind of just made a joke that, I mean, this is what happens when you don't have plans, because then you end up doing things that you didn't plan to do. Like, do you get what I
Exactly.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know. I was joking there, but I found it really weird when he said that. Like, oh, because and then I looked at his life, and then I felt like, because they kept saying that they'd start a business and then it would fail. They'd start a business, then it
And it
fails.
would fail.
I
Yeah.
feel like, and then I also noticed that he was an athlete before,
No,
like,
no, no. His wife was an athlete.
or was it his wife?
It was his wife that was an athlete. Because if you remember the scene of when they were outside, she was the one throwing the stone. That's how I knew that she was the athlete and not him. Do
Hmm.
you remember that scene?
Yeah, 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 yeah. When they were outside playing, and then she was like,
He was the
throwing.
one,
So then
and
why
then
was he
everyone,
looking at the port? Like, why was he looking at the medal thing so much? Because that's the first thing he grabbed when their house was flooding.
because that's his wife. That's his
I don't
wife's.
think that's what it was.
I feel like, yeah, he loves his wife very much, so I feel like that was what he grabbed. Because the guy grabbed the guy saw the stone floating up, right? Divine gravity. And that's
Mhm.
why he said, I feel like this stone is following me around. Which is why he intended to go and kill the guy in the basement. But it turns out that the stone was used against him
Okay.
instead. But do you know what I wanted to go into?
What?
The ending, right? Do you think the ending was a portrayal of what the guy was dreaming about or what really happened?
Dream. I thought it was a dream.
I thought I thought it was a dream as well.
I thought it
I
was.
was just like, yeah,
I thought it was a dream
because when I
because
first in the first time I watched it, I actually thought I was like, yes, a happy ending. He worked hard, he got the money, he was able to see his dad. But then I was like, but then when I actually was discussing it with a friend of mine, and then the person was like, oh no, Simi, it was a dream. I was like, what?
did you think it wasn't a dream? No,
I
that I
didn't
knew
think
it was
it
a
was a
dream. It
dream.
was a dream. It was a dream. It was
I
a
didn't
dream.
think it was a dream. I know, I was so happy in the end. I was like, yes, it all worked out.
No.
Even though what they did was bad, it worked out in the end. He made the guy motivated. But then, so when I was discussing it, they were like, girl, no, get out of that bubble. It was a dream. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
it was a dream, and I like the fact that they made it a dream because at the end of the day, a lot of times things like this, if well, things like this don't happen on a regular or in real life,
no, they don't.
but like on the off chance that like sometimes maybe you may get one opportunity or whatever, and then you mess it up. It just showed that sometimes like you don't always get another one, if that
That's
makes sense.
true. That's
And then
true.
that's the first thing. And then secondly, it just showed that like I don't know, I just like the fact that they made it like it was a dream because a
It
lot of
was
times like
realistic ending.
yeah, it was more realistic that way. It wasn't fanciful. It wasn't, oh yay, everybody's happy. We got a happy ending. No,
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that it was realistic. And I don't know. I just liked the way that he explained the story. Um and like even with the Morse code when he was like, oh, um that's the question I wanted to ask you. Do you think that really happened? Or
The
do you think
Morse
he went
code.
mad? In the last
Wait,
scene where
I don't understand.
in the last like in the last few scenes, yeah. Remember he said he went up to the like to that mountain because he kept looking at that house. Like he kept
Mm-hmm.
looking at the house because he said, "Oh, that's the best place to get a view of the house."
Mm-hmm.
So then when he saw the light flickering, that light kept flickering. Do you think that really happened? Or do you think that I don't know, for some strange reason I feel like that didn't really happen.
I think that happened. But
I
then
feel
that's
like
why
it
he was
didn't.
writing a
Because I
letter
feel
back
like he
to
got
his dad.
like he'd already run mad.
Eh?
I feel like he'd already run mad.
No, I feel like that
I
happened.
could be completely wrong here. I'm just, conspiracy theory. I conspiracy theory. I think he was already mad by then because from when he woke up in the hospital and he was laughing at like how
Nothing.
he was laughing at the two, like his doctor and the policeman, and how ridiculous they both looked. Like they both didn't fit the mold, if that makes sense.
Mm,
They both didn't fit the mold of
their
their
status.
yeah, of like their work, like of their job, sorry. And he was like, oh, like a doctor should look like a doctor, a policeman.
Mm,
So basically alluding to the fact that he in his world now, like a doctor should look like a doctor, whatever that means, and a policeman should look like a policeman,
at least.
whatever
But
that.
what do they even look like? They look like normal
Exactly. Like
people.
no one looks like anything. Like you just are who you
Exactly.
are. And then he just that's what made me feel like maybe he's actually already mad. Like when you're already mad. You think you're sane, but you're actually mad already. No,
No, I think
genuinely. I was like, maybe he had already started having some mental issues. I like genuinely because when he woke up, like you can't tell me he came out of that surgery and was okay. Well, actually, he could be, but I don't know. I just feel like
I believe he was okay, but the
he had
reason
mental
why he was
issues,
laughing is obviously one, it's a traumatic event, and
of
two, he
course,
lost his sister.
and his dad.
You know,
in that
And
movie.
his dad. He lost, two of the
Do you
most
know I was
important
so
people.
sad that he lost that the sister died. She was my favorite out of all of them.
No, she was. She was smart. Like I feel like if she really had the opportunity, she would have gone places.
Yeah. So I was kind of sad. He was smart too, but
He was smart
I
as
couldn't
well,
bring
yeah.
myself to like him from after his escapades
With
with
the whole yeah, with the whole high school girl,
so,
that
like,
hate.
but with the but his sister, she was genuinely just smart, and I just really liked her. I just
No,
really liked her
no,
energy.
yeah.
She was good vibes, but I know you
I
hate
hate
that
that
word
word
vibe.
vibe. She was
Guys,
vibes.
like everyone, Simi hates the word vibes. I don't know why, and so I will always,
Guys, I mean, I've heard it so many times, and I'm like, what does it even mean? Vibes? Like,
like
what?
the vibes. Like it's nice, isn't it?
Please give me. Is it a verb or an adjective? I don't know.
Google
Give
it.
me something that actually what you're trying to
Check
say.
Urban
Not
Dictionary. You'll find it there. You'll find it.
vibes.
The explanation. You'll find the explanation.
Timmy's vibes. Oh God, please
No,
don't come back.
like it's nice. It's a nice word. It's just, I like the sound of it. Vibes. But anyway,
Anywho, let's give it a popcorn rating.
Oh,
You wanna go
sorry.
first?
And before we go into this, we are changing our popcorn rating from 1 to 5 to 1 to 10 because we feel like five just isn't doesn't give us enough, volume to really capture like our rating system, if that makes sense. Like I feel like one
Mm,
to five is just not enough to show like because there are a lot of in betweens that wouldn't necessarily be a three, but they would be a bit more than that, but there wouldn't necessarily be a four either. So we decided to change it from 1 to 10. I'm sorry, from
okay.
1 to 5 to 1 to 10. Yeah.
So, guys, you heard Tommy say it's from 1 to 10. So 10 being best,
Yeah.
and then one being really, really, really
Fresh.
yeah.
Fresh.
So do you want to go first?
No, 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 no. I'm still thinking.
You're still thinking about the popcorn rating.
I'm not
I would
sure yet.
say I would give it a good 8 popcorns
Eight. Okay. I'd
because
say okay because
it's thought provoking. You have a lot to think about in terms of society. There's a lot that you can pick up
hmm
from. It's not just a film about, a clash between two families and a clash between two different social economical status. It's more than that. It's literally how the world works these days,
mm,
and you're seeing it. And for a foreign film to have literally done that, I feel like it deserves a high 8. I wouldn't give it a 10, but a high 8. I'll give it a high 8 popcorns. Oh my god, I
mm,
hate popcorns.
I'd give it a 7.
You give it 7.
Yeah, I think the length of it just made it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't win with you with the length.
But yeah, anyway, I give it a 7. I thought it was a really good movie. It was very thought provoking, like Simi said. Yeah, like it's the kind of movie I definitely recommend to a lot of other people. So
Mm,
for that reason
mm.
alone, I'd say yes, a good 7 popcorns.
And the fact that it broke barriers, you know,
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
it deserves, our rating of 7 and 8 popcorns.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that comes to the end, Tommy, of our third episode.
We're making traction. Is that the word? We're making
What?
roots traction. Anyway. Sorry. Continue. Don't mind me.
Wait,
I've
what?
come
I
again
missed
with
that
the bad
completely.
grammar. Don't worry. It's okay.
Okay.
Sometimes miss it. Sometimes don't hear what I'm saying. Just continue.
I even forgot what I'm saying now, guys.
You're that brings us to the end of the episode, everyone.
Outro. Okay. Oh yes, guys. So this brings us to the end of the episode. Yay! So thank you so much for sticking with us this long, and we
We've
hope
only
to
been three
continue.
episodes. Not that long.
Oh, God, I'm stuff. Leave me alone.
Sorry,
Let me
sorry,
vibe
sorry.
with the people.
I'm sorry. I'll
I'm
rein it.
vibing.
I'll rein it in. I'll rein it in.
I'm joking. Okay. Oh, I lost my train of thought now.
You're doing the outro, sis.
Okay, let's do it again. Right, guys, for the third time, thank you so much for sticking with us for this episode, and we hope to continue to bring more content. So if you like what you're hearing and you want to know more about us, and if you have any recommendations, you can follow us on our Instagram. It is the at the least most podcast. Yes, you heard that right. It is the least most podcast, and we will be posting some interesting stuff there as well. And if you guys continue to like what you're hearing as well, please give us a review on Spotify and on Apple and whatever platform you're listening to this on. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone,
Bye.
and catch you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.